With that said, we have to talk about, unfortunately, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I know that she is probably not anybody's favorite topic of conversation, but she is unfortunately the topic we have to talk about today. So, for context, this has to do with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, which I have not done a video on yet. I am planning on doing a video on it when I've got more information to work with, and specifically, I'm going to be doing that video more than likely with Jen Aldrich when that comes around. So, just so you guys know, there we are. Also, 314, Nikki the NB Fool, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. Owl. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get to the fan art section before we get into the topic at hand. This one is from Smolmaru. They wrote, "Thanks again, Suris, for motivating and inspiring me enough to not just doodle something, but to actually draw digitally. Usually, I don't do that because it takes so much time. This one took about 12 hours, and what is patience? I have none. So, yeah, thanks." You know what? I'm going to repeat the thing I said in October when I saw this piece. Holy shit, it looks incredibly good, and thank you for showing it off. The amount of detail that is shown on this piece is absolutely astounding. Smolmaru, you have a skill, and you should definitely continue using that skill. This looks amazing. Don't stop what you're doing. I understand you might have... We talked on Twitter briefly. You might have issues where your own value of your own work is concerned, but I'm sorry, this kind of work has value. It really does. Keep doing what you're doing. With that said, thank you very much for your fan art submission. As usual, if anybody would like their fan art to be shown in a future episode, the best way to do so is to drop it into the Discord channel on the fan art section, and then I will be able to get to it, ideally in chronological order, release schedule depending. Let's go ahead and roll the intro. All right. So, on to Marjorie Taylor Greene. QAnon rep gets brutal reminder about proposing congressional gold medal for Rittenhouse. So, a very brief overview of what's happened. Kyle Rittenhouse did, of course, get acquitted for what happened in Kenosha. A lot of that seems to have hedged itself on a technicality where the barrel length of his weapon was concerned that allowed a weapons charge to get dropped, which apparently made a lot of other charges not be able to stick the way that they did. Again, details about that we'll talk about when we get to that particular video. But there's been a thing that's been happening after that I find repugnant, but also not really unexpected. Every conservative figure under the sun has been trying to grab Kyle Rittenhouse for an interview or to put on memorabilia or to let's go ahead and call this one what it is, to groom this person, to be somebody who works for them. Matt Gaetz has tried to bring them in as an intern. It's insane. He's received like hyper celebrity status because of killing people in a protest. Regardless of your opinion on what the outcome of the Rittenhouse trial was, this amount of notoriety for functionally, let's call it what it is, killing people, whether in self-defense or not, this is not healthy. The dude was 17 when it happened. He's 18 now. At 18, if this kind of thing happened to me, that kind of power and fame and notoriety would get to my head. Hell, even at the status that I'm at on YouTube, low as I am, there's always that risk. It's insane to think that any of this is a good idea. And none of the adults here apparently are thinking about this. They're all thinking about their individual political maneuvers. So let's go ahead and see what Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to do specifically, because this is just kind of gross. Far-right congressman and prominent conspiracy theorist Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has repeatedly endorsed violence before and after her ascent to the House in 2020. Greene's colleagues stripped her of her committee assignments in her first year after resurfaced social media posts found that she had expressed support not only for deranged conspiracy theories, but for the execution of prominent Democratic lawmakers like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm not 100% certain on the details of that one, so please fact check me and this particular website where that particular claim is concerned. The reprimand, however, was not enough to discourage Green. She continues to endorse political violence, from suggesting her constituents shoot volunteers. We actually covered that one a while back. The context for that is that if people showed up to your doorstep, hers was not about conveying vaccine information. It was about people coming up to your doorstep to offer vaccination to you or your children, to use the Second Amendment as an effective communication tool. That was what she said then, which, you know, is not much better than what is being said in the article here, but let's be accurate where we can. Encouraging her followers to purchase AR-15s. Yeah, that was part of that too. She defended the Capitol insurrectionists who beat police officers. Yep. She repeatedly accosted her colleagues on the House floor, forcing one Congresswoman, Cori Bush of Missouri, to change offices to avoid further harassment. I do not know if this is the situation I'm thinking of, but I remember that there was a signage battle almost in front of Marjorie Taylor Greene's office, where she would constantly put gender critical and hateful information towards trans people up, and it was a constant thing. I don't know if this is that situation, but I mean, that situation happened regardless. After this week, Green sponsored legislation to award a congressional gold medal to Kyle Rittenhouse, the teen vigilante who shot 3 people with an AR-15. Rittenhouse drove from Illinois to Wisconsin to observe unrest in Kenosha, and ended up killing, after the police killed Jacob Blake. He was acquitted on all charges this week after arguing that he shot victims in self-defense. Again, we'll get into more details of that when we talk about it later. So what is the Congressional Gold Medal? Let's go ahead and contextualize what this thing is so that we know. We got it highlighted here because this is kind of the important thing. The Congressional Gold Medal is an award that is bestowed by the United States Congress. It is the highest expression for Congress of national appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions by individuals or institutions. The practice of issuing gold medals to occasionally honor recipients from the military began during the American Revolution. Later, the practice extended to individuals in all walks of life in the late 20th century. The Medal and the Presidential Medal of Freedom are the highest civilian awards in the United States. The Congressional Medal seeks to honor those individually or as a group who have performed achievement that has an impact on American history and culture that is likely to be recognized as a major achievement in the recipient's field long after the achievement. However, there is no permanent statutory provisions specifically related to the creation of the medals. When a Congressional Gold Medal has been deemed appropriate, Congress has, by legislative action, provided for the creation of a medal on an ad hoc basis. Thus, they are generally fewer gold medals than presidential medals. U.S. citizenship is also not a requirement. As of June 24th this year, 173 people or events have been awarded the gold medal. Kyle would be one of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of Americans who would get something like this for, if we are to steelman, if we are to go at this 100% with the with what the charges have been sat in, then we are effectively awarding a person gold medal for bog standard self-defense. That is the take that I would have to have if I'm just taking this on face value with the most good faith interpretation of what happened in Kenosha for Kyle's part. And at that point, I'm sorry, there are infinite number of self-defense instances that happen even during protests The only reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene would be trying to push for Rittenhouse to get a gold medal is because it is politically expedient to do so. Or it is politically expedient to do so. And so that's more than a steal, man. That is me granting every single ounce of that argument in Rittenhouse's favor as humanly possible. And it still does not meet the level of scrutiny that the Congressional Gold Medal usually should have, based solely on the amount of times that it has or hasn't been given to people. This is not because Kyle legitimately deserves anything like this. This is literally because Kyle is currently a figurehead where the right is concerned. Now, there are some thorns in this. There are some thorns in this that we need to talk about. One of them is the fact that he went on live TV on Tucker Carlson's show, pointed out that he supported the BLM movement, pointed out that there was misconduct even during his trial, though he did point out it was mostly from the prosecution. I can't even disagree. The prosecution tried to point out that video games were one of the reasons why he did what he did. That was kind of weird. But he also pointed out in his interview with Tucker Carlson that had he not been a white guy, the result of this would have been really different. So this is why I want to wait on talking about the stuff where Rittenhouse is concerned, because there's a lot of angles this fallout is going, and I want to see where this dust actually settles. But again, the only reason that Marjorie Greene is going for this is because her, Matt Gaetz, Tucker Carlson, everyone on the right now who has any power and influence is trying to get a piece of Kyle. This is not healthy for any human being at this age. It's just not. It's just not. Continuing on here, Greene said that Rittenhouse protected the city of Kenosha by killing 2 of its residents, the only fatalities during that period of unrest. The bill comes just 5 months after Greene was one of the 21 Republicans to vote against awarding a gold medal to officers who faced beatings and racial slurs while protecting lawmakers and the Capitol from insurrectionists on January 6th. Oh my. Imagine being the type of person that wants to award a gold medal to effectively a vigilante, but not awarding it to the actual law enforcement that's job it is to be there to protect. Let's go ahead and face it. When we're talking about January 6th, we're talking about protecting the institution of democracy. That's what we're trying to do. That's what you do when you're stopping an insurrection. Marcus Flowers pointed out that she voted against those. All right, so I'm not a huge fan of Marcus Flowers personally. He is running for my particular state legislator as well. He's running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, I mean, I can't knock the guy because he is trying. There are better people to run where that's concerned, though. But let's go ahead and... Do they have more in here besides just the tweets? Is it just a bunch of the tweets? Because I care little for the actual tweets. It's mainly the conversation about this that I'm worried about. So, we have a person who is willing to, as you say, back the blue. Also, who's the lesser evil between Marcus Flowers and Marjorie Taylor Greene? As far as I know, Marcus is the lesser of those two evils. The thing is that we don't have to just vote on Marcus. There are other people who are going to be in that vote over and above Marcus Flowers. So just know that. But where this is concerned, this is honestly kind of frightening. There's a bunch of angles to consider when we're talking about this. Angle one, think about this from Kyle's perspective. Let's do our best steelman and ignore as much as would be needed to view this person as just a regular dude. This would completely fuck up a person's head. No matter what mentality they had beforehand, this amount of sudden attention directly after a traumatizing trial, not just for Kyle, but also for everybody who was involved, the actual families of the victims are traumatized by this as well. Imagine what all these people are going through as this media shitstorm is happening. And yet the only thing that people like Tucker, that people like Marjorie, that people like Matt Gaetz, who wants him as an intern, can think of is to pile all of this shit onto effectively a kid. And this is seen as normal for these people, apparently. Now, I have something that I want to show you that ties into this. This is on Twitter. But there's some pro Rittenhouse stickers that have been pushed out here. Now, I have a problem. The symbol for the black sun is back here, and that is not an unknown bit of Nazi paraphernalia at this point. And, yeah. They're just sitting there saying Kyle was right. Again, I'm trying to divorce as much of this from what actually happened in Kenosha as I possibly can, because that is its own video that I want to cover with its own nuance. Also, we are not doing Tetris 99 right now. We finished that earlier. I forgot to set the actual thing here. Here we go. Boom. That fixes that. But we're seeing now a lot of very, very strange stuff from a lot of conservative pundits, people in power, who are all trying to get a bite of Rittenhouse. Just, I don't know how I'm supposed to process this information. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it, because regardless of anything that's going on with Rittenhouse, regardless of whether you view the dude as a monster, regardless of any of that, this is not a healthy position for anybody to be put in. This is the type of thing that fucks somebody up for life. Because if he wasn't a monster before, there's only two outcomes here. Either he's going to get groomed into a monster from all of this, or he's going to come out violently on the other side. I do not know what scenario happens here, and I don't feel comfortable making a prediction. But the fact that those scenarios are even a conversation is worrying. But now I got to throw the conversation back to you. This is a very complicated subject. There's a lot of bells and whistles to this that have to be considered, and there's more players than I've mentioned so far that are trying to get in on this particular fustercluck. If there are ones that you know of, let me know of in the comment section below so I can look into those as well. But yeah, this is a thing. It's a very uncomfortable thing. So, yeah. Well, with that said, though, it does throw the rest of this back onto you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. If you want access to behind-the-scenes content for the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon. I do weekly vlogs over there where I give real-life updates to what's going on behind the scenes on the channel, stuff that you don't really get over here and even on Twitch. Patreon also helps the channel's stability a whole lot. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. Especially with the kind of content that I do, neither YouTube nor Twitch are the most stable sources of income. If you are a $20 and up patron, then you will be featured on the ending slides as shown in the beginning of the end credits. If you want to catch the streams where all this content comes from, then consider heading over to Twitch and following. And if you want to continue watching over here on YouTube, maybe consider clicking one of the end screen videos. And once again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me over on my channel. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything that I'm doing over here on YouTube without each and every one of you. So thank you.